Hello, and what is up, guys? It's your boy, KaptainNexus, back again with another live stream. Did I update this thing here? I think I did. Actually, let me check. Where is Twitch? On here. Okay, yeah, I think I updated that. Sorry. Just had to, oh, what the shit? Why am I not logged in anymore? Oh, man. Not logged into Kick. Hang on. I like to see the stream stuff. So I like to log into Kick. It's not doing anything. Okay, cool. Probably need to refresh and try this again. Okay, there we go. Now I can do my authentication thing. Authenticator. Where are you? There it is. All right, and we're here. Okay, so welcome back. Yokoso konbawa. What was it? What was I saying? Minasa Genki desu ka? Is that it? Let me check. Can't remember. Japanese I practice. Let's see. Shit. If I search it up. No. What? Really? Okay, wait. No, I posted something the other day. Damn. Okay. Well, whatever. Anyways, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing pretty well. I am tired, mainly because I didn't get enough sleep last night. Hopefully I can get some more sleep tonight. But we are going to be doing some reactions today because I'm tired. I might play Fallout 4. I mean, not Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. But as of right now, we're just reacting. I'm trying to gain energy by watching shit. So yes, I'm just going to hop right into it. First, we're going to watch a video from Bellular News. Let me go ahead and put that on the screen up right here. All right, there we go. And this is about the gaming industry. So a little bit about the gaming industry right now. It's in a state of chaos. Basically, a lot of people are getting laid off. Games that come out have been coming out unfinished for years now, and they're getting worse and worse. Game developers are calling people online very rude terms that probably shouldn't be used because it dilutes what those terms actually mean. I'm not going to repeat them here, but yeah, everything's just not great for the gaming industry. The only one who's like not struggling really is like Nintendo, despite their high prices for their games, but their games are honestly worth it because at least they're finished. And indie devs are doing great right now, especially those at Team Cherry, guys who made Clair Obscure, Expedition 33. I still gotta finish that game. I love it though. I'm just kind of busy all the time. And this is technically, this is a AAA studio, but like it was a studio from like, you know, just out of the blue and stuff, you know, guys who made Stellar Blade, all that. They're doing very, very well in the gaming market. Everyone loves their games, everyone supports them. It's just a good time all around for those guys. Wait, UFO transparency hearing? I'll have to check that out. That sounds interesting. But just gonna watch a little bit of content, just honestly a little bit of a refresher for myself, because like I don't remember a lot of shit. Like there's so much shit that happens that I don't remember everything, so I might just be rewatching some things myself. But I don't remember watching this one right here. It might have played in my sleep, I'm gonna be real, because I just go to sleep watching YouTube and everything. So like this one might have played in my sleep and I might remember bits and pieces. I'll let you know if I do, but like generally this is going to be about like, you know, the gaming industry and how Xbox is doing right here. So without further ado, this is Bellular News. I watch a lot of his content already. I'm going to go ahead and give him a like because I already like his content in general already. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. I'm gonna put the link in the chat here. Like I highly recommend him. Bellular News. All right, and let's get started. All right.
Going to be fun. Xbox.
Okay. Let's take it back. All right.
This is going to be fun. Xbox is worth $23.46 billion a year to Microsoft, and that actually doesn't matter. So here's why it's kind of terrifying. Microsoft can make brutal cuts to their gaming division because it doesn't matter.
Okay, wait. Earlier we reported exclusively that Perfect Dark was on the chopping block as part of Microsoft's latest rounds of cuts. Now we can confirm the sad news. Today, Microsoft revealed broad layoffs hitting 4% of its global workforce across every division at the company. Many of those layoffs are hitting Xbox. Microsoft's big layoff round has hit 9,000 staffers. Various divisions, despite reporting record profits. Microsoft has laid off over 15,000 people in 2025. Yeah, I remember seeing a post about that like very briefly, where like, oh yeah, a bunch of people got laid off, like 9,000 developers, and like, damn, that really sucks. Like it's really, really awful. And now there are a lot of potentially good games that we're not going to get, and in exchange I'm afraid we're going to get really shit games. Or at least like there will be shit to some capacity, either story, performance, or just the developers being assholes, because they might actually make a good game, but like developers insulting their fan base definitely wouldn't be good at all. But yeah,
not compared to where Microsoft wants to go. They can cut hundreds of developers, maybe thousands, and that's happened all in the last few years. The reason why? Microsoft is gargantuan. And those billions that Xbox makes, they're just 8.8% of Microsoft.
Yeah, so I can definitely vouch for these numbers here. So basically Microsoft actually it is fucking huge. Like if you're not like a tech guy or work in the tech space and everything, or for some reason your job just doesn't use computers, most like Microsoft is literally everywhere. It's like if you have a Windows, if you don't have a Mac, most likely you have a Windows computer. You go to school, it's all Windows generally, unless like you're an art student or some shit. No offense to art students, but Apple sucks. But they are good for the creators and stuff. I will admit that. Yeah, their cloud services that they provide is I'm not gonna lie, Microsoft is extraordinary. As much as I like to gripe on Microsoft, which you'll probably get to know the more I stream, Microsoft basically has everything. All right, the business I work at uses Microsoft like all across the board. A lot of our applications are built in like Power Platform and shit like that. Dynamics. We use a lot of cloud services, and it's actually really good if your organization knows how to use the tools generally. All right, I will say that that's the caveat. If your organization knows what they're doing, Microsoft works great. Unfortunately, I work for an organization where they don't really know how to do anything, or at very least the leadership doesn't. And then some of the leadership hires people who don't know how to do their job. But that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, everybody uses Office 365, whether they like it or not, because everyone needs to make a Word document. Everyone needs to make an Excel spreadsheet. If you're not using this, you're probably using Google or Amazon. And, but like, I'm not gonna lie, like the fact that you can locally store your files on your computer with Office 365 is the benefit. As much as I hate OneDrive and everything, being like already installed and like loaded up on my computer, I always disable it whenever, like, you know, because I don't need it. I always disable it whenever I build up a new computer. But OneDrive is a lifesaver if you're like, you know, local store, if your like computer just like crashes and shit and you can't use it anymore. And then also the benefit of like keeping it local is like you still have a choice of having everything being saved locally, unlike, you know, having a Chromebook where everything is stored in the cloud, or like Google Documents, everything is stored in the cloud. And for any reason, like Google could just take away your account and shit and prevent you from using like any of your shit, or like accessing any of your shit, you know. You can that could be a potential problem. And I feel like I've heard of cases of that happening, but I can't really say for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Total revenue. Xbox is just a line item in their budget. Staff are just numbers in a spreadsheet. That's how it is when your headcount is like 200,000 people. But that's all vibes. Do you know what's concrete? Leaked memos that we've read that suggest something worse. That staff need to use AI daily, literally.
Okay, Julia Louison, president of Microsoft division responsible for developer tools such as AI coding service GitHub Copilot, recently sent an email instructing managers to evaluate employee performance based on their use of internal AI tools. Tools like this. Okay, AI is now a fundamental part of how we work, which I can confirm it is. Literally everyone is using AI, whether they want to or not. You're using AI just by being on the platforms like a Kick and Twitch and everything, because the AI is like, you know, showing you what is there. And then YouTube, especially YouTube, like AI is recommending what videos to send to you, and then also it is determining, like, you know, based on the videos that you watch, how old you are, which that's a problem because like a lot of content creators are having issues where their audience ends up with the restricted mode on by default because the AI recognized them as underage or whatever, even though they're not. That's a major problem. But like even when you perform a Google search or like a search through Brave or DuckDuckGo, all of it has AI now. Everything. I use AI quite often when it comes to like researching things or like learning something new. Like I'm using AI to help me learn how to program and organize documents and everything like that. In our business, we're actually using GitHub Copilot ourselves. Well, at least the developers are. I'm not a developer. I'm just the IT support guy, but yeah, the like AI has completely and totally taken over, and if you're not using AI, you're kind of behind on the times. But I will say, don't heavily rely on it. Like always check your sources when it comes to using AI for like any purpose, really, period. Like don't get super attached to AI. Like don't be parasocial with it and stuff. It's still at the end of the day just a machine. It will tell you what you want to hear. And I would not recommend using AI to help you with your emotional issues and everything. Go to a therapist, talk to real people, please. Just wanted to say that because I've seen that sort of shit a lot in the news lately. But AI, at the end of the day, I think it's great. I think it's fascinating. I'm a full supporter of AI when it comes to research purposes. When it comes to art, it is kind of in a gray area, but I don't blame anyone for using AI to generate art for, like, you know, their projects and everything, and using it as like a starter, because from what I've seen, AI still, it's hard to recognize if something is AI or not, but AI is still not better than any artist, all right, that has dedicated their time and effort to being good, like, you know, at, like, you know, drawing and shit. It don't get me wrong, AI's done some amazing things and stuff. It can clone people's voices, it can like replicate like certain scenes from anime, and I'm pretty sure some anime now is using AI. Like, I can see it, like I notice, like, hey, yo, that's drawn weird, that's not like a perspective weird thing, that's just like actually just looks weird, it looks off. If I remember the anime where I saw that the most, I'll talk about that. But like AI, like, you know, AI is here and it's here to stay, and you either get with it or you get rolled over by it and everything. I myself am like heavily debating on whether or not I should use like some AI to do like some artwork for my channel. Everything I've done so far is hand drawn by me. Well, not hand drawn, like digitally drawn by me. I've drawn everything myself, but I might use AI to some capacity on the channel. When it comes to art, the only thing I've done with AI is really just use it as reference material. Like, I'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, like generate me like a stone wall and stuff, or like the planets behind me and stuff. I was like, I don't know what a planet exploding really looks like. Hey, ChatGPT, generate a planet exploding. And like I kind of base it off of that. Or like, hey, can you, like, you know, make some architecture and everything that can give me ideas of like a story or something like that, you know? I mainly use it as a reference guide. That's how I use it in my everyday life, to reference or do research. So yeah.
Literally daily, right? They need to do that to keep Microsoft happy. But here's the thing. It seems they're not willing to take this shit anymore, and they are arming themselves against Microsoft's influence. So if you want an Xbox, and that means not just the console, it means development teams, if you want them protected against Microsoft's influence, well, today we're getting proof of why, and we've got proof of just how bad things can get. Spoiler warning, by the way, it's really goddamn grim. Now, I'll bet this has happened to you. You've got a dead phone battery, and then you're stuck waiting ages for slow old wireless charging to crawl
Gotta let it
along.
play out.
Well, that's where today's sponsor, Ugreen's new MagFlow series, comes in and solves the problem, because this is a proper Qi 2 certified 25-watt magnetic charging power bank. It's actually fast. I mean, an iPhone 16 Pro Max gets up to 50% in just...
I will say, I myself, I've never really used a battery bank. I've probably used one like once whenever they were first coming out, but like I never actually found a need to need a battery bank, just because everywhere I go, there's always an outlet I can plug into. But I will say, you should buy one. You should probably buy this one that he's promoting right now, because it's most likely pretty good. I don't know. I haven't used it. That, and I don't really go out anywhere too much other than like work, but you should buy his. And why I say so is because, say you go to an airport or something like that, you want to charge your phone, all the outlets are taken and stuff, so it's like, well, shit, I can't do anything. Like, well, you should have had a battery bank, bro. If you had a battery bank, you'd be able to charge your phone. Or which I remember this was a thing when I was like growing up a little bit, like probably like in high school or something. people were actually, and people still do this because they have this in the Security Plus exam. People were switching out the USB outlets or making fake USB outlets and putting them in places where people would normally sit down and charge their phone, putting them there and using that as a way to break into people's iPhones and Androids and everything like that. It was very, very interesting way of, you know, hacking into people's phones and then, like, you know, connecting to them, probably installing a rootkit of some kind, stuff like that. So having a battery bank would protect you physically in a cybersecurity sense, because you wouldn't need to plug into those possibly malicious outlets. Yeah, you never thought you had to be worried about an outlet, huh? Crazy.
30 minutes. The power bank magnetically snaps on with 9 newtons of force. It's got a really nice grippy finish,
shit.
so, well, you can actually use your phone while it charges and it just stays there. And as for the design, it's genuinely premium, clean lines, lovely LED display showing you the exact battery
I
percentage.
do enjoy
and
LED
you've got a built-in
displays. I
USB-C
like to see
cable
them glow.
that also doubles as a carrying strap, which is real nifty.
Oh, that's pretty
and
sick.
At 10,000 milliamp hours.
I wonder how strong it is. I wonder if like that
charges,
like
and it's
will
got
wear
all
out
the
if you use it as a carrying
overvolt,
strap.
overcurrent, etc. features that Ugreen have got on all of their stuff, so it is damn safe. It's not only that though; they've also got the 2-in-1 foldable.
I wasn't sure if like this was a little
awesome
bit
for,
too
like,
loud. I don't know.
If you're traveling, your desk setup, your
Oh, they even
nightstand,
got a foldable.
it'll handle
Okay,
your AirPods
shit.
with the space at the back,
All
your
right,
phone
now
up
that
here,
that is
and then
something I
even
would
this
use.
little pop-out charger
I actually
as an
saw.
example for your Apple Watch.
Actually, so like this is the cool thing about Apple. Like I'll give Apple some credit here. Whenever you just turn your phone to, I haven't seen like, well, I only have the Z Flip 5, so I don't think it can do this. Just because it wouldn't make sense that it would need to do it. Already has a fucking cover screen. But maybe some other Androids do this. But Apple, whenever my coworker who's like iPhone geek, I always make fun of him for it, because Linux is better, Android is better, they're all better. But I like walked by his desk one day and saw like his phone had like, you know, the clock and everything like display lit up while it was on one of you know, a magnet charger thing, kind of like this. And I was like, oh shit, that's actually pretty cool. It's like having like, you know, because I imagined I'd put it like next to my bedside and like, you know, my phone's already my alarm clock. Now it really looks like a traditional alarm clock now. And not only that, it's charging my earbuds as well. That'd be great. But I don't use iPhone, so like I don't get to experience that. But also, I sleep in my computer room on a futon and stuff because like I'm too lazy to make up my bed. Yeah, that's my life. Anyways.
Watch. All awesome, and the Ugreen Magflow series is available now on Amazon and the Ugreen website. And to get the best price, you can click the links in this video description because the series is new and the launch discounts are live. During the layoffs, Satya Nadella sent out a public memo. He talked about what matters to
I sleep on a Japanese style futon, by the way. Not like the American style like couch futon, but like an actual floor mattress. It's very comfortable. I like it, honestly.
Microsoft and their shift from a, quote, software factory to an intelligence engine empowering every.
When Bill founded Microsoft, he envisioned not just a software company, but a software factory, unconstrained by any single product or category. We must reimagine our mission for a new era. What does empowerment look like in an era of AI? That's the shift we're driving from. From a software factory to an intelligence engine empowering every person and organization to build whatever they need to achieve. Interesting. All right.
Wow. And in this, 3 business priorities emerge.
To deliver on our mission, we need to stay focused on our 3 business priorities: security, quality, and AI transformation. You know, so like one thing I do worry about, like cloud computing and the fact that like every business basically uses the same software or like the same cloud services, like the big 3 fucking Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. And this actually became a reality one day. Or actually like two times in my lifetime, where basically because everyone uses the same software slash technology, like one day it would just come crashing down, putting like everyone basically in a technology chokehold. The first time was when Amazon Web Services went down, and like it took out a few banks in my area actually. Actually maybe not a few banks. I don't think, or I do know it took down Nintendo. That's the one that I remember. Okay. Twitch definitely went down. But Nintendo online services went down. A whole I think Lowe's actually had gone down because I think they use Amazon. It was either Lowe's or Home Depot. One of them uses Amazon cloud services. So they were kind of stuck too. It went down for like what, 12 hours or something, and that was crazy. And then there was the this wasn't technically Microsoft's fault, but because everyone used Microsoft, it caused, or actually no, not really, because everyone used Microsoft. It was Microsoft plus CrowdStrike. The CrowdStrike update that just broke every Windows machine on like the East Coast or whatever. And I think they're still recovering from that today. Basically just put the entire world to a halt because it affected so many like important areas like airports and banks. My organization wasn't affected by it because at the time we didn't use CrowdStrike and everything. And at one point we were looking into it and everything, but nothing's been solidified at all. I kind of like CrowdStrike though. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty robust, better than Trend Micro by far. And I've always hated Norton. I've hated McAfee. I've personally used Bitdefender. I like that, but then I stopped when I started setting up my own security solutions. But yeah, I don't use any of like CrowdStrike or anything else. I kind of do my own thing and set up my own servers and shit to like track and do all this other shit with my environment, because I don't want to pay for subscriptions. I'm gonna be real. Subscriptions suck. But like the fact that everything is not only interconnected but also using the same software as a service, or service as a I can't remember, SaaS applications and everything. If like one day Microsoft were to just like go down for whatever reason, hey, we're kind of fucked. We are kind of fucked because like so many things depend on Microsoft's ability to function. I imagine that they have everything segmented, so if one area goes down stuff, it won't take down everything. But like that is honestly my worst fear. Or there being some sort of an exploit, especially with the rise of AI, because AI can like basically generate code for exploits in seconds now. Like if like there was some sort of an exploit on for Microsoft Cloud services and everything, will we have time to patch our own systems in order to defend against that? Or will we even know to patch our own systems because someone might have already pushed that exploit and is looking at all of our data and just waiting for like the right moment to shut everything down? I don't know. It'd actually be kind of crazy. I kind of want to see it happen to give everyone like wake up calls, like, hey, diversify your technology and stuff. We shouldn't be like I know it's not like a triopoly or something and stuff, but like it kind of feels like that, kind of like how the App Store, because like you kind of can't do anything without Microsoft, you can't do anything without Google, and it kind of sucks. And like a lot of things have just gotten worse and worse over time for various reasons, which is like I'm a huge advocate for like, this is why I like advocate for like, despite it being a part of Google, Android, because you can do so much more on an Android than you can an iPhone. You like have access to a wide variety of things. Same thing with Linux. You have access to a wide variety of programs. I wish more people would program for Linux, but we're just not there yet. Anyways,
security, quality, and AI transformation. Those are the things that matter to Microsoft. And if you want to know where Microsoft makes its money, well, here's the breakdown. 35% from server products, 31% from cloud, and together those are $186.21 billion last year.
Yeah.
You know what's not mentioned once in this?
Again,
Games,
like I said, they make really
Xbox,
good
the stuff
shit.
that we care about. And look, it's not some anti-gamer agenda, right? Whenever Xbox wins, Microsoft is actually happy. But it's just not what Microsoft cares about. It's not what they want to invest in. Not like, say, AI. And here's a question for the comments. How much do you think Microsoft can reinvest in AI from firing thousands and cancelling projects? We've actually got the number, and we'll get to that. But it all means one thing.
Wait, hang on, let me
Microsoft can hurt Xbox, not...
Let me go back. Sorry, I didn't read that.
Firing thousands and...
Okay, earlier we reported exclusively that Perfect Dark was on chopping block Microsoft. Okay, yeah. Okay, we already read that one. Yeah.
Projects.
Sorry.
We've actually got the number, and we'll get to that. But it all means one thing. Microsoft can hurt Xbox, not out of malice, just out of apathy. When we clear out a forest, it's not because of a burning visceral
Minecraft. Minecraft has changed so much.
No, it's because
I haven't touched Minecraft in years, and like I always look back at it and stuff and see what's going on, like just peer into the space a little bit, and like it's changed so much from when I was a kid. Just being excited to get like the classroom iPad so then I can just goof off and play Minecraft and shit. Like, God, those were very rare moments, but they were the best moments. Oh my God, I'm like, damn, I miss being a kid sometimes. Life was so much simpler. Especially before 2008 housing crisis. Life was so much fucking simpler.
we need the wood. Analogies like that are often used for first contact scenarios with alien species, but it does actually apply to here, and with what we've learned, it is no wonder that Xbox staff are protecting themselves. Today's chain of events kicks off a few weeks ago when something massive happened. The entire Diablo team unionized. That's more than 450 people, and it's just the latest Xbox studio to unionize. And every single announcement shares the same story, that staff basically couldn't take it.
Hundreds of Diablo game developers joined Communications Workers of America. Today, over 450 game developers behind the popular video game series Diablo have voted strongly in favor of union representation with the Communications Workers of America, CWA. Jojo Siwa. Not to be confused with Jojo Siwa, by the way. Anyways, with every... Also, Jojo Siwa is like, she's wilding out and stuff. I wonder what she's doing now, because last time I saw her, she was like, doing some like punk rock Kiss sort of thing. And I was like, oh, that's wild, and moved on with my life. Yeah, anyways, with every subsequent round of mass layoffs, I've witnessed the dread in my coworkers grow stronger because it feels like no amount of hard work is enough to protect us, said Kelly Yo, Team 3 game producer on Diablo and organizing committee member. Didn't like the most recent Diablo game flop though? Like that's my question. Like, didn't it flop? How well did Diablo do? What is the most recent Diablo game? Okay, yeah, Diablo 4. That was in 2024. How well did Diablo? I'm not a Diablo fan, but I don't think it did very well. Diablo 4 in sales. Okay, Diablo has performed exceptionally well in sales. Okay, setting a new record by Blizzard by surpassing 666 million in revenue within its first 5 days of launch. The initial success was driven by strong player demand and smooth launch, while with the game outgrossing the worldwide box office. Oh, that's not what I remember. I don't know. I don't remember that. Or maybe it was Diablo Immortal that was shit. I don't know.
After the
Whatever.
latest layoffs. And think about this, we've had 2 financial
It says,
years in
like,
a row
the internet
ending
says it
with
did good,
game
so
cancellations
I
and
guess.
studio closures. And that's not counting the quarterly layoffs across all disciplines. They basically arrive like clock.
The day after the third round of mass layoffs, I walked into the office, and when I tried to open the door to the cafeteria, my badge was denied. For a moment, I wondered if getting breakfast was how I'd find out I was a part of that rat. Damn, that is like the worst fear. Imagine badging in to the office and it's like beep, and like the door doesn't open. It's like, ah, shit. Like, I had that scare at one point. Like, I knew I wasn't fired because like that's just not how they do things where I work. But like, I knew I wasn't fired. Did I say I knew I wasn't fired? But like the gate to like the place where I work didn't open, and I was like, oh shit, did I get let go? My boss didn't tell me, knowing full well that I show up like 2 hours earlier than he does to the office. It's like I was kind of scared, but no, the gate was just broken and shit, and I was like, oh thank God. But yeah, that would suck. It's like, damn, going to get something to eat and stuff, make yourself like feel good after like, you know, well, before starting the day, and it's like, ah shit, I'm fired. And I can't get breakfast. Damn. Fortunate that you can get breakfast though. I don't eat breakfast because I don't have time to. It's like get up, go to work, that's it. Anyways, Ryan Litton, Team 3 game designer on Diablo and organizing committee member. While luckily it was just a technical issue, none of us should have to live with that constant worry that we might be let go at the drop of a hat. Yeah, that is definitely very scary.
Now, Diablo especially suffered before the acquisition. Crunch, high attrition rates, hostile work environment.
Diablo 4 developers work long hours, bracing for impending release. At a certain point, throwing bodies at the problem does not solve the problem, said current Blizzard Albany employee about Blizzard's strategy of buying more studios to aid development. If you add them late enough in the project, it doesn't matter that you hired an entire studio because they'll never be up to date in time to help on the shipping game.
But now, those staff want to fight back. And here's what staff in Diablo pointed out, that these unions don't stop layoffs entirely. Indeed, the first contracts only got ratified this summer, which is years after staff...
Raven Software workers secure first contract to Microsoft. Today, workers at Raven Software unanimously voted to ratify their first union contract between GWA and CWA members and Microsoft. The contract builds on recent organizing momentum by Microsoft video game workers organizing with CWA to raise standards across the video game industry. Coming on the heels of ZeniMax workers united CWA members securing a contract with the tech giant in June.
First formed the unions.
All right.
But what it does do is help. As an example, sources told Aftermath that ZeniMax QA department got real improvements after their unionization. And I'll just quote them. They've definitely improved layoff procedures and severance and things like that. For other units, they were able to negotiate immediately after they've gotten notifications of the layoffs and who is being let go to save some jobs or make a case for saving jobs for people who are essential. So often we see layoffs that are just done line item by line item, but it could turn out that one of the people caught up in that actually knows shit that other people in the organization don't know. Those people are actually essential, and I've first-hand personal experience of seeing a number of near misses in that regard with just Xbox stuff that I know. Now, the Diablo team is...
Yeah, in the tech industry especially, there are a lot of people who are known as wizards, and they are basically god of like their respective IT department because they know everything. They're the person you always go to when you have a question. They can do everything despite not even having like the proper level of access to do everything. It's actually kind of insane how like regular occurrence that is. And it's not even like they hold on to the information either. They give out the information willingly and like will create documentation and shit for you. It's just like people just don't read it, and then that wizard notices that people just don't read the documentation that they make, so then they stop making it. And then when that person finally leaves the company, everything comes crashing down. Something similar had happened at the place that I work at a while back, where basically someone had retired, and they were basically the god of like whatever service that they were in charge of, and that service is just so happens to be used by like thousands of people. And it went down weekly. No one could figure out how to fix the problem. They just could only reboot the server and keep their fingers crossed that like, you know, things would go back to normal. It was hell for me because I'm on the IT service desk, and I'm the one who gets the calls that, oh my god, this thing is broken. And I'm like, fuck, again? Are you serious? It's been like, it's week 5. Bro, why is everything going down again? But yeah, it's basically how it is. Hopefully the stream isn't buffering too much. I see like stream loading and stuff in the corner there, but
Also
I don't
talked
know.
about the cultural changes post-acquisition.
I am recording this, so I'll upload to YouTube later.
Whenever Microsoft owned them. And here's the lowdown. Xbox staff don't actually get the same benefits as Microsoft staff, especially Activision Blizzard King Studios. Wages have not increased notably. Xbox developers are openly protesting Microsoft's military contracts as well.
Arcane Studios STJV section joins boycott, divestment, sanctions, and no Azure for apartheid in their demands for Microsoft to stop supporting the Israeli regime. STJV said in the open letter published on August 7th, 2025, we think that Microsoft has no place being an accomplice of genocide. And as Microsoft employees, we don't want to be part of this sinister project for Gaza. Makes sense, fair enough.
Set the FBI on their own staff.
I don't know too much about the situation, I'm gonna be real. I like tune into it, but like I really don't understand it, so I'm not gonna speak on world politics like ever. Anyways, other than like, unless it's like in the gaming industry, I'll talk about that shit, but nothing else. Microsoft Corporation has failed to quell a small but persistent revolt by employees bent on forcing companies to sever business ties with Israel over its war in Gaza. They have requested help from the Federal Bureau of Investigation in tracking protest, worked with local authorities, and tried to prevent them. Wait, what? They have requested help from the Federal Bureau of Investigation in tracking protest, worked with local authorities, trying to prevent them. Flagged internal emails containing words like Gaza and deleted some internal post about the protest. According to employees and documents reviewed by Bloomberg, Microsoft has also suspended and fired protesters for disrupting company events. I'd honestly say that's kind of fair, firing someone for like disrupting a company event, especially like it's supposed to be a positive one. But at the same time, like you probably won't get much traction or like notice if you don't do like a protest where like, you know, there's a larger event. But then again, I don't think a large event has to happen necessarily. I don't know. That's I don't like it when people are fired for like speaking their mind. I really don't. But also it's like, hey, you're kind of disrupting the business here. I am more so in support of the workers though. Like, because I myself am a worker. So like, if it came time to protest against my organization, like I would do the same stuff. I'm not going to um, shame anybody for protesting against their organization or anything for what they believe in. Um, there have been recent going-ons of people losing their jobs due to like certain like rhetoric. And it's a case-by-case basis on whether or not that's justified or not. It's not up for me to decide, I'll be real. Although I've not been liking what I've been seeing online lately, I'm just gonna say that. But anyways, back to Microsoft. But that's crazy that like they're working with the FBI and local authorities to stop protest within their own company. That's actually kind of absurd. Um, and kind of feels a bit overreaching when it comes to like the government and stuff. Um, yeah, interesting. Or
Meanwhile,
potentially
the
overreaching,
generative AI
you
stuff
know?
is creeping around the edges of their workspace, and we've talked about this on the other channel.
But I also don't think there's any possible way Microsoft can not support technically anything like another country I guess working with a I'm not sure how to phrase this actually. So like I don't think there's any way Microsoft could ever stop working with Israel. I'm just going to say that because Microsoft is so big and literally everything runs on fucking Windows, bro. Like everything works on Windows, and like what are they going to do? Like not like send a security update to like people's computers in Israel? No. Because like they like have to restrict it by IP or something. And like not only would the Israeli government not get like their security patches and whatnot from Microsoft, but also the people of like Israel and Gaza would not get security patches if they have like any sort of Windows computer out there that requires a security patch. And then like Microsoft is so intertwined with the government to like such a high degree. No matter what Microsoft does, they will always be helping like some country that like you probably don't agree with, or some person that you probably don't agree with politically or anything like that, no matter what, to some capacity. Like they don't even have to give anyone money. Their product is is what's needed. All right. And like literally anyone can get their product. Yeah, I don't know how they would even stop supporting Israel. Like if they're supporting Israel financially, I'd say that's kind of weird for a company to do, because like your main focus should be your business. I don't see how funding another country, even if that country was like funding the United States or something, would really help your business. Like giving a country your products and everything would, selling a country your products would, because like it could be like a loss leader if you give a country like your products to use and everything. It's like, hey, we'll lose out on like them purchasing this, but like once they see how good our product is, they'll want to buy more. Or like just straight up selling it and stuff. Like they are contract with the US government, so the US government is giving Microsoft money in order to like use their services and everything. So like like that. But I don't know if they're actually giving money to Israel. That's actually something I would be interested to look into. Like if a business is directly funding Israel or Ukraine or Russia or anything like that, because I'd be like, why are you wasting this money? Make my games. Make good games, please. Because like y'all been released a lot of flops lately. But anyways,
There was some new stuff with Warcraft marketing, social media teams being seemingly caught up in the mix, and absolutely customer support being big time caught up in the mix. And it certainly has harmed the connection
I
between
can't even
players and
read that.
developers.
Holy shit. Oh, that's so small. But okay. Trading post previews, roadmaps, infographics. Those all Rastel. Our team was being dismantled before these layoffs. Now they're just using them to cleaning up what's left. They're shooting themselves in the foot with a rocket launcher, passing it off to whoever is left, I guess. So Social is getting mostly outsourced to an agency.
That's just one example, and it is not
Okay.
the one-off, because we now have proof of what happens without protections, and it comes in the form of a company called King. And it seems that King absolutely are the canary.
Oh yeah, Candy Crush guys.
They are Microsoft's test case. That effectively what Microsoft is mandating for them is what they want for the rest of Xbox. We know that King has unions, but they're not company-wide like Diablo, and that means that Microsoft's impact can be quite a bit more brutal, because staff have less recourse to challenge them via formal means. Back in July, right after the latest layoff wave went public, King lost 200 developers. And MobileGamer.biz reported something kind of shocking, that internal teams at King got cut in half, and their replacements, they were AI tools. So that's lovely. And to add a cherry on top,
That's crazy.
laid off teams had just built those tools. And they were essentially meant to support level design and copywriting. That's what people were told when they were asked to make these tools. But now those tools quite literally have replaced them. And we know that this is Microsoft doing.
I wonder how advanced those tools that they're using in Microsoft are, to like just about fully replace like their teams, and then like what areas are they using the AI? Are they using it in HR? Are they using it in basic IT support? Are they using it in as a way to well, he said like level design and everything, but like to what capacity? How much can the AI really do, and how good will it actually be? Because like I've like, you know, used AI to assist me in making some things, and it doesn't ever really turn out very well when I don't have the knowledge to supplement what the AI is giving me. So like I imagine like, you know, they're leaving the people who like have like, you know, a good amount of knowledge to use AI to a certain degree, but like after a while I think AI will eventually just erode everyone's mind to the point where we get to like idiocracy, where no one really knows how to do anything. The tech just does it for them. And I kind of see it already even before AI, with like just how people don't really know how to use a computer after like, you know, only using smartphones. Interesting stuff. But where was I going with this? Like if you replace your entire development team with AI, with the exception of like one person and everything, I imagine who else would lose their job, because like wouldn't most managers lose their job as well? Because like, hey yo, you don't need like a manager if you don't have a team for them to manage. So like say you have a team of like 6 people, you like fire like 5 of them and implement AI to take care of like most of the work, while like, you know, that one last team member is like, you know, being used to supplement the AI at that point. What's the point in the manager who fired his 5 employees? What will be the purpose of them? Because like now there's really no need for them to be involved. It's like, or I imagine they'd keep the manager, but like oftentimes a lot of managers kind of don't know what the heck is going on there, like, you know, on their own team, or how to do what their team does. They're like they handle the business side of things, not the actual technical side. Oftentimes, at least from what I've have experienced and have seen in the tech industry and everything. My boss is great though, actually. Like I actually like my boss. But other people, they don't have such great bosses. Anyways,
A source
enough glazing, my boss.
Quote, AI was being introduced by Microsoft as mandatory a while ago. The goal for last year, if I recall correctly, was having 70 or 80% daily usage of AI on general tasks. And the goal for this year was to get that up to 100%, so that every artist, designer, developer, even managers have to use it on a daily basis. And this,
I'm gonna be honest, if they're making stuff for like Candy Crush has very generic looking art, so like AI would be able to master that perfectly. Yeah, all the artists for Candy Crush, they lost their job. Every single one, because at that point you don't even need the artist. That sucks. I'm hoping all these people who, like, you know, were laid off work to make their own studio that's like solely independent from using AI services as much as they possibly can. That'd actually be really cool. That's what I hope for. Like all these people who are laid off, like just come together and make their own new business, and with their own intelligence, with all their knowledge and intelligence, they become something that can topple these juggernauts of like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, or at least make them somewhat afraid. You know, like I saw a video that like which we might watch next, talking about the new internet. I made a new internet, so like I haven't touched it. I've been very curious, so I might watch that next.
This is described as an imposition by Microsoft, and a separate source echoed this. They said that King's leadership were, quote, AI skeptics, and overall, adoption was, quote, very low apart from ChatGPT. And obviously, that's not.
It's good that you're an AI skeptic.
A recent leaked
like,
memo makes this clear. And
AI gets a lot of things wrong.
Using AI is no longer
starts imagining
optional.
things.
It is core to every role and every level. Essentially, Copilot must be everyone's work partner. Management now includes AI use in performance reviews and in reward schemes.
Oh, that's crazy.
That fun little axiom that whenever you set something as a target or a reward, it becomes functionally kind of useless. Oh dear, I have a feeling that that will create some perverse incentives. But when you tell people, use AI or else, what do you expect will happen? Especially because it's
people are going to be lazy as fuck.
Because they're genuine.
I am fully expecting for games to be shit in the future for Microsoft.
But I drive that.
I'm just hoping the Persona 4, well, that's done by Atlas, so I don't have to worry about it.
And I can use my own judgment as to what is or is not appropriate. Guess what? My dyslexic ass is useless at spelling, and some of the LLM things are pretty useful for a little bit of sanity checks. That's rather different from your boss saying, hey, we need a 100% adoption rate. It's actually going to be tied to your performance review and your bonuses and probably your future with the company, and you have no choice.
Yeah, that's crazy. And for King, imagine getting fired for not using AI, even though you do better jobs than AI.
Of course, to protect the
That'd actually be crazy.
Staff. That's a common phrase, but it's also a quote in this case. And this has resulted in brutal attrition, in dysfunctional relationships between staff and leadership. And what has Microsoft's corporate influence been? Quite simply, it's been to make a bad situation worse. Microsoft leadership is at odds with the people who are making their products. Say, the developers who are making the games that you want to play. And the reason why is that games are not really the point of the company. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sacrificing games for AI funding. Quite literally, because we know this was a sacrifice. I'm not being hyperbolic. Windows Central and the Seattle Times both reported the same goddamn thing, that this summer's Microsoft layoffs.
Oh, yep. My favorite word, enshittification. Enshittification is everywhere. Everything has gotten substantially worse in the tech industry as a whole, and it's trickling down to like everyone's everyday lives at this point. It sucks. Things used to be great back when I was coming up in the world along with technology, and now it's shit. It's shit. All right. Fucking hate Windows 11. Windows 11 does not work, period, on anything. Linux is so much better. And it's a lot easier to fix a lot of my issues in Linux and everything than it is like Windows. Windows has so many restrictions. There are some things from Windows 10 that like are not available in Windows 11 anymore, and it pisses me off. Like, God, I could rant all day about fucking Windows. But I do like Game Pass though. Game Pass is kind of lit. Like the Xbox 360 was so much better than the Xbox One. I haven't played the Series X or used this software or anything like that. But oh my God, I miss the 360. I miss the Wii. I miss the Wii U. I miss fucking GameCube. I miss the DS, bro. The DS was where it was at. We should have never left. Nintendo Switch is all right, but like, fuck, I'd rather have a finished working game than whatever the hell Scarlet and Violet was on launch day. I swear it was a buggy mess. Anyways, yeah, whatever.
Purpose that it wasn't about canceling floundering projects. No,
getting off my soapbox.
Freed up $80 billion
for
future AI infrastructure investment. Those are the layoffs that hit all of Microsoft, but we do know that Xbox got particularly hammered. And think about that number, $80 billion. That is effectively what Xbox paid for Activision Blizzard King. in an
Oh
all-cash
shit,
purchase.
that's crazy.
So if you are a Microsoft executive
Yeah,
looking at the financials, basically here's what you see. Xbox bought themselves marginal profitability every year. Good for them. But that same money could have went into AI infrastructure, which is far more profitable, they believe. And that is the problem. Xbox isn't the millstone that it once was. We won't see Satya Nadella deciding between closing or expanding Xbox anytime soon. But what we can see, what we do know, is that Microsoft's interests are not Xbox's interests, or, for that matter, the interests of their players. When Microsoft demands Xbox shows financial value, like the AI division is able to, expensive long-term plans become easy targets.
Yeah, I don't,
as an example,
I don't foresee like
dies.
we might get one more
Reportedly
Xbox
spiraling
console.
towards
We might have one more
$270
Xbox console
million
left.
before launch. That's how
'Cause,
LOL
like,
vanishes. Or
they're
how
really
the
pivoting
ZeniMax
towards
online
cloud
MMO
and
that
AI.
Xbox leadership loved
Probably won't see
playing
any good
gets
games
cancelled.
anymore,
This explains how they
or
blindly demand
any
layoffs
like
across
fucking
all levels of
fun
seniority,
consoles.
vastly
I
hurting
mean, like,
their own output. And even in the best case, obviously, Phil Spencer and Johanna Fares could not stop Microsoft's demands, because the details don't matter to Microsoft. So
Starfield was so shit. Starfield was so shit. It was so boring. I have not picked up that game since I got it. Since I like, I didn't even buy it. I had it on Game Pass.
And also the Diablo development team, while
I
whole
haven't touched it
groups like
since.
that are unionizing so that they can oppose this bullshit. And look, to be clear, I know there are loads of pros about unions and loads of cons about unions. There are stories of unions going well and stories of unions being extremely corrupt, going badly, and even hurting industries in whole countries. I know about that stuff. But here's the thing. We actually need to think. A lot of the time, whenever people criticize a large language model, they'll say, it's just an X-word prediction, bro. Well, for a lot of people, they hear union and think, good, I support. Or they hear union and think, bad, I don't support. But here's the thing, it ain't binary. It's different shit in different cases. And in this case, if you don't want slop, I think you should probably support this. Because look, right? You see how this shit's ran over time? The best people.
Yeah,
who
I can
don't
only
want
foresee
these
like
tools
AI
forced upon
really
them,
like
forced
just
being the operative
making
word,
slop
they're just gonna end up
and everything,
quitting, going
and
somewhere else, or
everyone.
being slashed by layoffs. Do you know who?
So like, this is the very interesting. What will happen most likely is that everything in business, in the tech space, everything will be gamified. Thanks to AI, people will not think about how to actually solve their own problems. They'll depend on AI to solve those problems, and AI will only be as good as, you know, whoever develops it, or however, or like not even whoever develops it, how good the internet is itself at figuring out problems or posting problems. And that's up, like, because a lot of AI just pulls from what exists on the internet. It just scrapes so much fucking data off of that. And at some point it's going to give you some like shit code, and you're going to put that shit code in production, and it's going to make everything suck. It probably could be just one line of code that's shit, and it like will fuck up everything. And probably not one line, that's probably an exaggeration maybe, but like probably like a bad file and shit, and it will just fuck everything up. And shitification was probably like just like a man running, but now it will be a train barreling through the station at this point, with the way things are going. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck for the AAA gaming industry. I'm gonna be real. And it might even go a little bit further from not just AAA gaming industry, but like just general cloud services, tech services, all of that. It might end up pretty shit. It's definitely going to be shit for the cybersecurity industry, to a certain degree, because like they will have to defend against attacks nonstop, since AI can generate code for exploits in seconds. Patching things will be damn near impossible. Anyways, yeah.
In a, let's just say, evolutionary setting like
cybersecurity world, or like in the AI and cybersecurity world is very scary.
Who are happy enough to make slop if slop is the result of the company's demands. Does that mean better games for you? I would argue no, it does not. And if some of these teams being able to unionize basically means they can say, actually screw you on this thing we know best and we're going to put up an internal fight, then I think That's probably in the balance of pros and cons in this case.
The one good thing about
Let me know what
layoffs
you
is
think, though,
like a
and if
video
you've been
game like
impacted by any of this
developers
stuff,
is that if
especially,
the
let me,
developers that
rest
were
of us in the
laid
community
off
would love
were
to hear what
like
your experience has been. That's it for now. And if you want to learn about the real rumbly business going on in YouTube, that
yep, this
could
is
even be controlling
Bellular
what
news.
you do or do not see,
Gonna
watch this video.
repost the link in the chat again. But Bellular new I really like his content and everything, and then his voice is smooth as butter, so like it's great, much better than my voice. But anyways, as I was saying, so basically, what was I saying? Shit, I was talking about AI and how like people will probably be too dependent on it. Probably see. Oh, okay, yeah. So like if the developers that are getting laid off right now are like anything to write home about, they will start their own. They will come together and start their own businesses, and eventually become their own, like, you know, indie studios making their own spectacular games, and basically punching back at the juggernauts that laid them off in the first place, and potential and absolutely take over just by the quality of their games, because we are still at a point where AI is not good enough to make quality products to any capacity. Yeah, it can be fun, it can like make you smile and everything, but like I hate that I'm saying this, but like it doesn't have like AI made things just doesn't have soul to it yet. And it's because it can't get into the nitty-gritty details and nuances of like story crafting, and then it also can't it can't go into like the major specifics when it comes to coding. uh like for example, like I'll, like, you know, ask ChatGPT a question about some code and it doesn't fully understand it, or it will make up some weird dependency that doesn't exist in order to resolve my issue, and it's like, no, that's not true. Like, show me the documentation, ChatGPT, show me documentation. All right, boom, that's what I needed. Okay, cool. I'd say like AI in the hands of like non-technical people will be absolutely useless. You like, in order to use AI efficiently and actually like make a good product, you have to know about coding, you have to know about, like, you know, how technology works in general. I feel like that's a part of the reason why games are shit now, is because a lot of developers do not know anything about hardware. First off, um take Borderlands for example. Like, apparently its performance is really shit on PC right now. Like, it just came out, I think it's really shit on PC because like they didn't build the game. Like, it's not even like that crazy of a game, but like the way they built that game, just doesn't work for people who have lower end hardware. And it's not like people nowadays can really afford high end hardware. Like, I literally had to take out a loan in order to afford my PC, I'm gonna be real. But I'm a single guy, so like I didn't give a fuck. Like, I don't have like a family to support and stuff. I just go to work and live my life. So I was like, I need some way to de-stress, and video games are how I de-stress, and I want a high-end gaming PC. I don't care. Um but like the fact that the Borderlands 4 devs were not able to basically make their game work on like the most like on the lowest end hardware that the average person uses, I think says to me that either their developers aren't given enough time to actually make the game efficient enough to run just about on like, you know, a potato or whatever, like on a toaster oven. Or that like they just don't know anything about hardware, period, how it works. Like I'll give like a personal example, like to try and explain what I'm talking about here. So like at the company I work at, well, previous company I've worked at actually, uh there were like I'm just the basic IT guy, okay? Like I just troubleshoot computers. um you have no idea how many times developers, who I from my perspective I would think knows a lot about computers because they literally program for them, um like didn't know how to turn on the Wi-Fi on their laptop. They didn't know how to fix like to how to install an application. It's not even like they needed admin rights to install the application. They just had to open up fucking Software Center um on their computer. uh they didn't know how to actually run a log on a server that they were using, or like that they have a service hosted on. They didn't know how to, like, you know, run the log, check the log, or anything like that. um like honestly, if you told me they didn't actually know how to program, I would believe you, because like there's no way that like you're a app developer but you don't know the basics of like computer hardware. Like you don't know shit on the A+ exam. Like I could maybe see, maybe you don't know how to fix your, like, you know, printer or something and stuff, like despite there being like documentation that you can just read. Like printers are Satan. I won't blame anybody for not knowing how to fix their printer. All right, printers are Satan. um but like the fact that you don't know kind of like the basics, like how to like look at logs on a computer, how to fucking um well, know that you need to restart your computer like every once in a while. Like you can't keep your computer on all the time. I'm sorry, bro. um or like how to install like different applications and everything. Like it's kind of baffling to me, especially when these are people that have worked at like my organization like a lot longer than I have. They don't really know how to do shit. It's like, how do I know no more than you about like the basics? What do you do exactly? What is your job exactly? Because like the term admin or like developer seems kind of loose and stuff, to the point where, like, you know, we have to bring in outside support in order to support our own applications that we have in our organization. And that I find very weird as well. Why don't you know how to actually code? I guess I don't fucking know. um or how do you not understand what a 403 error is, or a 404 error is, or a 500 error is, and everything? Or like, why don't you have the logs of why, like, you know, these errors are even occurring on like a user's machine? Because like you'd receive something on your end and everything, especially if it's affecting multiple users. I don't know. um a lot of people that I've worked with in the past have just been very, very fucking lazy, or like they seem like they don't know anything and they just got there like due to like nepotism or DEI or some shit. It's actually kind of crazy uh how often that happens. But yeah, I kind of only for like with all the layoffs that are happening, because like I get a post from like Reddit like every day about like Oracle laying off a bunch of people, and Oracle is like the guys who make Java, and Java literally powers like everything. Um, powers a lot of shit. So like I'm wondering who's being fired, like what departments they're in. Cause like if it was just like, you know, maybe someone from like, you know, HR or IT, like support desk or anything like that, okay, the service itself won't be completely shit. It'll probably be getting support for the service that's shit, or like, you know, working with somebody who can help you get benefits being shit or something like that. At the very least, the service will still be strong. But if they're like, you know, laying off developers, it's like, oh shit, fuck. But anyways, let's see here. I thought I saw something pop up just now. Was there like a chat? Hang on. Is there a chat somewhere? Like a chat come up on the screen for a second there? No? I'm just imagining things. I might be tripping. But yeah, let me try to find that video about the new internet and stuff real fast. Hang on. Yeah, there was like somebody made a new internet. Oh, I was going to watch a Mudahar video actually. Most delusional CEO in gaming. Oh, this is the Borderlands 4 shit. I want to see if I can find that other video first and stuff, and then like if I can't, whether I do or don't, we'll definitely watch the Mudahar thing. Need a new net. Yeah, this was like a month ago. So it's like a 4-minute video. So like, we'll go ahead and watch this.
The internet.
So let me see what else came up. Okay, YouTube short version. Is the internet dead from game theory? Okay.
The internet.
Okay, let's see here. All right. So here it is. Read description. Developers, I need your help. I made a new internet. This is from K0. I have no idea who this guy is, but like they have 48.6k subscribers. If I like what I hear, I'll go ahead and give it a like, and I'll probably even subscribe and everything because this seems pretty interesting. Oh, now I'm getting recommended a bunch of tech videos. Awesome. Let's see here. All right, let's go.
Internet sucks now. Let's make our own. Specifications are out there. ravendevteam.org/betanet. Betanet's official specification. It's all here. Go read it up. Graph is even right here, fully explaining exactly how it works. Here's the flow.
Okay, wait. Well, let me see this. Hang on. I need to actually make this bigger for myself. Okay. So we have access media fiber, 5G, SAT, LoRa, Li Scion path. Okay, wait. Okay, client peer setup, bootstrap discovery, DHT, MDNS, onion, DNS. I only know what like half this shit means. I'm gonna be real. Outer TLS 1.3 mimic, access ticket bootstrap, noise, XK handshake, K underscore inner, encrypted inner frames, stream ping close, overlay match, overlay some, trust, self-cert IDs, payments cashew and lightning, governance, and versioning, uptime and voting, uptime plus voting, operational beta net session. Okay, I only understood what like half of that meant. I'd have to look into those a little bit further. I'm gonna be real.
You go check it out. You see, developers, any developers watching this, it doesn't matter how good you are, you just have to be half decent. If you're a Rust dev, C dev, C# dev, C++, Java, Python, whatever, it doesn't matter. You see, the problem with Betanet is that it needs mass adoption to work, okay? And mass adoption isn't even on the user, it's on the developer. developers need to adopt BetaNet. Unlike Tor, unlike something else where the user needs to specifically choose to adopt it, the user should have a pretty seamless experience using BetaNet. You see, the problem is it's up to developers to actually implement this into their stuff. Now, you may be wondering why BetaNet works over Tor or anything else. So I like the idea of mutually assured destruction, okay? Now, mutually assured destruction is when, let's say, two governments are bickering back and forth. One says, oh, I'm going to launch my nukes. If they launch their nukes...
Sorry, I'm a bit quiet. I just want to focus on what he's saying because I'm gonna be honest. It's going to take me a second to understand everything. Because like when I see I made a new internet, I'm thinking, well, I honestly don't know what I'm thinking. Because like, to be honest, the internet in general is already very confusing, but like the basics of the internet is a lot of interconnected devices working together to make something larger than it itself. So like basically think about like the US highway system and everything. We're all interconnected by like, you know, these big open roads or formerly open roads because of all the fucking traffic. God, I hate traffic. Wish I had more public transportation in my town. But we're all connected. We're all working together. Certain things can't happen unless, like, you know, another part of the country bring shit over or assist us and we assist them. And like, you know, we have a whole nother access to new information if we just go to like a county over and everything like that. And we're able to do so thanks to roads. All of it's all connected, exchanging information, exchanging resources, the yada yada yada. So like that's basically what the internet is. Like that it's a very bad explanation, but like I think it's good enough at the very least to like get a basic understanding of it. So I assume this is like this since it said peer-to-peer. I imagine like we're connecting like, you know, our own devices to each other and exchanging information that way to some degree. But let's continue.
Then they are both going to ensure that nobody makes it out alive. If you launch the nukes, everyone's dead. We are going to make sure of that nobody makes it out alive. Nobody survives. That is mutually assured destruction. We're taking the same philosophy and applying it to anti-censorship. So you see, if you try to take down BetaNet, you are going to seriously harm the regular internet in the process. It camouflages itself as regular internet traffic. It's damn near indistinguishable from regular internet traffic. It is carefully designed to be indistinguishable from regular internet traffic. And with the way it's designed, even if they tried to attack BetaNet, they would only be harming genuinely actually used things of the regular internet. And even better, there's no single point of failure with BetaNet. There is no central point to block or prevent. Even if Raven falls, even if I fall, anything like that, BetaNet will still survive because upgrades are voted on. A node's voting power equals its uptime score plus the amount of eCash it has staked. If 67% of that weight says yes, everyone waits 30 days, plenty of time to update, before the changes activate. And you see, it's voted upon. It is entirely decentralized in a way that no other protocol is. You see, Tor and all these other ones rely on a central team to merge changes. And plus, instead of completely volunteering free donate your bandwidth nonsense, it actually pays the relays. Relays can charge micro fees using Cashew eCash tokens issued by community mints. When the balances grow, they settle over the Lightning network, all inside the encrypted tunnel, so no outsiders ever see who paid whom. I mean, I could keep rambling on, but honestly, just go read the spec. BetaNet's a public, community-ran alternative to the internet. No single authority, company, or anything controls it. Traffic is camouflaged to look like ordinary HTTPS, and block...
This kind of sounds like Bitcoin, where like the idea is that like, hey, we have money away from the government. Like that, or like that's not tied to any government and can like potentially be used globally. And we won't be affected by like, you know, the sudden, like, you know, price change or the stock market crashing or anything like that with crypto, because like there's a finite number of resources when it comes to crypto. You can't make more of it or whatever. Completely private and anonymous, basically form of payment, which is kind of why the government hates it. They can't control it, so like they hate it and they're trying to make their own. Like, I'm gonna be real, I don't understand anything this guy's talking about, so we're definitely watching a Muhar video, like, talking about this shit.
Any one computer or link does not knock.
He may not have a degree, but he at least knows more than me. All right.
Users offline, and if they truly tried to mass censor BetaNet, they would only harm the actual internet in the process, simply because of how it's designed. I mean, BetaNet deliberately reuses port 443, CDN grade HTTP 3, and optionally Scion paths that enterprises now rely on. Large-scale blocking penalizes mainstream businesses, not just activists, making political follow-through very unlikely. Mutually assured destruction. That's the way you win anti-censorship. Please, developers, implement BetaNet. Make BetaNet a reality. Let's replace the internet with BetaNet. Oh, and if this wasn't a great enough incentive, Raven and I will be paying the top developers who make the best implementations. Whoever makes the best implementations that catches our eye the most, you will be getting paid. We will literally pay you to make BetaNet a reality.
Paying me how, though? That'd be my question.
Privacy
Paying me how?
and security on by
For
default.
crypto? Like, I don't know if I trust crypto enough. Like, other than Bitcoin and Ethereum, like, I don't really trust crypto really at all. I'll give it a shot, but like, you know, most crypto's kind of a scam. Like, if it's not backed by something larger than itself, you know, or has mass adoption by the masses and everything. But anyways, so let's watch this Mutahar video. I'm going to give this a like because it's certainly interesting, and subscribe just because, like, I want to see what they do next. Actually, hang on, let me see if they got anything else on their channel. They have anything else? Windows is better. Really? Oh, for less tech savvy users. Okay. Yes. Catch me not reading properly. But yeah, let's see here. Modern open source philosophy is not open anymore. Deblow your already used Windows system. Okay, BetaNet 2. Need to help uncensor censorship of Raven and BetaNet by Hostinger. Really? Okay, I'll have to look into his thing a little bit more, but let's watch the Mutahar video.
Hello,
maybe
guys and gals. Me,
explain this a little bit more.
And ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you we have a censorship-free...
Subscribe. This is Mutahar. Oh wait, hang on. Let me go back because I did not.
Sucks now. Let's make our own. Specifications are out there. ravendevteam.org/betanet. BetaNet's official specification. It's all here. Go read it up.
Posting this channel in the chat real fast. Okay. Because this content does seem pretty interesting. I made a new internet and everything. I wouldn't have. I'm glad I didn't watch this like before Mutahar made a video on it. This is like a month ago, but like I'm glad I didn't watch this before, just because I don't understand it. Like I kind of don't. Like I need someone a bit smarter than me that can explain it to like my dumbass.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you we have a censorship-free internet? An Internet 2, the sequel to the internet, all before Grand Theft Auto 6 graces our eyeballs, ladies and gentlemen.
That's fucking crazy. Grand Theft Auto 6 hasn't come out yet. I've been waiting for years. I hope it doesn't come out to be shit. Oh god. I also hope it's not like $100 on release, but like at least it will be justified. Depending on my financial circumstances, I either will or will not be buying it. It all depends on where I am financially at that point. So yeah.
Gentlemen, yes, apparently this video has been kind of like blown around. Now this is by a YouTube user known as K0. He wrote, "Developers, I need your help. I made a new internet." Now, this video got like 250,000 views in like the last 3 days, and it's been sent to me, it's been shown around, and you know, it's apparently BetaNet. It's the new, fully decentralized, censorship-resistant network intended to replace the public internet. Now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we all know internet censorship is kind of at an all-time high. I really think, like, I'm not joking, I think in the next 6...
Yeah, so like over the course of the year, there have been sweeping pushes for internet censorship, especially in the UK with like, you know, actually, no. Let me start with Visa and MasterCard. Visa and MasterCard are censoring so many people. They are literally taking down websites, entire websites, platforms, in order to push their own agenda, which basically is like anything 18 plus is bad. At least from my perspective, that's what it looks like, because they're censoring like, you know, anime content, like 18 plus anime, a lot of the Gooner stuff, but like also some of the non-Gooner things. You know, they took down a like an otaku gaming, dating website in Japan, because like I can't even remember the reason why, but they said they didn't like it, basically. It was very interesting, to say the least, but it got to the point where like congressmen, people from the Diet of Japan were basically like are talking about this censorship and how it's bad, and like how Visa and MasterCard payment processors are basically trying to push the Western values onto their country, and blocking payments for like their services. And Japan seems to be heavily targeted, or anything like that's within the gaming slash anime culture sort of sphere have been heavily targeted by Visa and MasterCard and heavily censored. I'm very curious to see like if Visa or MasterCard is censoring anything else, but like my main argument, I'm clearly on the side of the gamers and anime. I don't like censorship to any capacity, period. But like, hey, if you're censoring like video games and anime for either like being too violent or being too sexual in nature and stuff, why are you not banning things like why are you not banning movies? Why are you not going to like the AMC like theater and be like, hey, we can't process payments here anymore, you have a very violent movie playing and stuff that has guns and like people dying? Why aren't they doing that? Explain that to me. Anyways, yeah. Also, I shouldn't pause on. I need to stop pausing on this dude, Mudahar. Jesus Christ. My God.
12 months, we probably
it's not flattering.
Internet. Okay, I think a lot of the governments around the world.
I actually paused on Mudahar a little bit earlier in like another thing, because like this is the other video that we were going to watch and stuff. This is a lot better. But those last two pauses and stuff, they were great. Sorry, Mudahar.
The biggest tech companies to absolutely find ways to segregate internet users. You know, whether you're in the United Kingdom and all of a sudden because of laws, you can't access.
Oh yeah. Like in the United Kingdom, you have to basically verify your identity in order to access websites or access certain services on the websites. I think that's absolute bullshit. They say it's in order to protect children, but the way I see it, because the data collection is being handled by third parties, not by the government, not even by the service that you're trying to access, but like an entirely different entity. I feel like that puts children at more risk, because say something like the T app happens, where like they basically get all their data leaked, and that exposes the ages, names, locations of like not only like, you know, not just you know, average citizens, but also children and everything. I'd say that put children in much more danger. Hell, a nefarious actor would possibly target like, you know, websites that they know are doing like the ID verification thing, and then like specifically look for like like say they are able to get into a database and everything due to like some sort of an exploit, because like a lot of organizations just don't update their shit. It happens a lot. That's actually how a lot of like, you know, healthcare facilities get hacked, because they didn't update their shit. But yeah, say like they enacted this law in Canada, which actually has a lot of security breaches in their like healthcare system. Say it's like a tech company in Canada and stuff that hosts like some social media platform and everything that everyone goes onto, and like you all of a sudden have to put your ID in to basically identify yourself, say you're above 18, or like, you know, you put your ID in, because like I didn't know this before myself, but like apparently they give IDs to 13-year-olds now and stuff. Like I could see like a passport or something, but like I didn't think that like 13-year-olds have IDs or something like that. I didn't know that. But like now an attacker could like, or a nefarious person, so they're an attacker regardless, but a very nefarious evil person who wants information on children can basically get into a database and stuff due to an exploit, and then look for specific flags that basically like at a basic level it would work like this, where there's a flag that says basically like, hey, this person is allowed to see 18 plus content, meaning that they are above the age of 18, or they're not allowed to see 18 plus content, meaning that they are under the age of 18. And then at that point, they're going to target those specific accounts that are flagged as under 18, which again, an attacker can already do right now though, but they don't have to go through the trouble and effort of like interacting with like, you know, that child. Instead, they can just go and find that child's information. So like say their saved ID card that's on this service, and like find out their name, sex, location, all of that, and then like, you know, go down to wherever they live and kidnap them and stuff, pull them off the bus one day and stuff, because like these crazy fucking pedophiles will drive hours and hours to like get their target. All right. Like, so like that is absolutely more terrifying, because at the very least there'd be like, you know, like time is always against you when you're on the, like when you're defending yourself, and like especially from a security perspective, time is always against you. Like attackers, nefarious people, they have all of the time in the world. So like by having like the ID verification and IDs being stored in like you know, a central location and everything, that cuts down the amount of time an attacker needs to like get like to use that information that they're trying to obtain and stuff. Like instead of hours of trying to like, you know, convince someone to give you information using social engineering tactics, oh, your information's right there and I can get it within seconds thanks to an exploit that was generated, thanks to an exploit that hasn't been patched yet, and code generated to you know, exploit that exploit, to exploit that vulnerability. Yeah, code was generated in seconds to exploit a vulnerability by ChatGPT. So like I see it as a big mistake, big mistake, for like ID verification to any degree. At the very least, I'd like for the government to handle it, because like government already has like, you know, a bunch of that information anyways, not like some third party. And at the very least, we can hold a government accountable to like actually protecting our information and making sure that like, you know, they are updating and patching their systems and making it robust enough, so then leaks like this like don't get out, you know, leaks like that doesn't get out. So, you know, yeah.
A whole bunch of websites that shouldn't have been blocked are now actually blocked. Whether you're in the United States and acts like the Screen Act pass, where, you know, accessing most of the internet will require you to use ID verification.
That's actually one thing I got off of Spotify because of this. because like Spotify would eventually require ID verification because of the broad language and used in the UK's government's law for like ID verification and shit. I don't feel like submitting my ID to like any sort of tech service, period. Because I like to be anonymous on the internet and everything, you know. At least to a degree, I like having my anonymity here. So,
and so on and so forth. The internet is going to be a vastly different place. But I don't necessarily think BetaNet is the actual answer.
Okay, so he's against BetaNet.
Over here, this is already a project that has
Kind of.
already raised about
$54K? Shit,
okay,
it's crazy.
Cryptocurrency over here, which is being used as bounties, from my understanding. So you've got 12,000 bucks here, you got 8 grand here, 4 grand here, just to work on different parts of the BetaNet system. Now, obviously, I really do think that the people behind this Raven team genuinely want to make a censorship-free internet. Now, this name might remind you of something. I've actually covered Raven stuff before when it came to debloating Windows. But when it comes to debloating Windows, I think the, I think the scope of difficulty from debloating a Windows installation to making your own fucking internet is a pretty big jump. So they have an entire spec sheet here, BetaNet 1.1, which is already like upgraded. And of course, they've got multiple things where they talk about the cryptography, they talk about encoding rules.
Like, I have ideas of like, you know, this new internet thing, but like I can't really even begin to comprehend like how like this would actually like, I guess, be made and functional and shit. Like, I imagine it'd be like a website, but like, you know, it's like the problem is, I guess, yeah, the problem is like getting mass adoption by developers and stuff, like, because this would not survive unless like it has like heavy developer support. But I think that's a tall order, especially when like only 4% of the world uses like Linux. Like we're still trying to get people to adopt Linux more. And Steam has like bumped that, like the original 2% when it came to Linux users to 4% thanks to the Steam Deck. But even then, it's like, hey, like there's still not a lot of programs made specifically for Linux systems. And in fact, like there was one developer for like Linux, for like a service on Linux that like, hey, they stopped developing for Linux because people who use Linux are fucking annoying. I should know. I'm a person that uses Linux. I'm fucking annoying, but at least I'm not an asshole who's annoying. Other people are sometimes.
Basically, this is an overlay onto the internet as it is. So we're gonna watch a little bit of like, you know, K0's video just to basically get an idea of what this is.
The user should have a pretty seamless experience using BetaNet. You see, the problem is it's up to developers to actually implement this into their stuff. Now, you may be wondering why BetaNet works over Tor or anything else. So I like the idea of mutually assured destruction.
So before he goes into mutually assured destruction, a lot of this doesn't require you, the user. You guys really don't have to do anything according to the developers here. Basically, people who are developing and working on the internet have to.
We don't need the users yet, I should say. Like, I just want to say, like, we don't need users yet. We'll eventually need users to use the platform, but for right now, it's in the development stage. It's basically like the early days of the internet where, like, hey, you could only really access this or, like, really use it to its full capacity or, like, get computers and shit if you're rich and everything. In this instance, you don't have to be rich. You just have to be, like, you don't have to be rich in money. You have to be rich in knowledge, really, to use this or do anything at this point.
To the grand scheme. Now, I think this is a big problem, but I'm going to get to that a little bit later just because I want to talk about where the internet is now as compared to when I was younger, okay? So what is mutually
I wonder if he's going to
destruction?
talk about literally what I just said.
I'll simplify it for you. Basically, the idea is if, you know, one big country is beefing with another big country, so think of the United States.
I'd say the fact that you're going into a concept that you don't need users stuff may potentially be bad because, like, users aren't going to adopt your system and make it popular and make it worthwhile for developers to develop for it if it's not made with end users in mind. So, like, if you say, like, outright you don't need users and everything, from my perspective, you're already, like, throwing the, like, thought process of how an user thinks out the window. How, like, you know, a user would interact with your product out the window. And you're focusing a little too much on yourself. It's different from like how game developers who like love games make games and everything. So like, because they love games and they make they make a game, they make a game that's really good because of their love of games. In this instance, I see it as like the opposite, where like, oh yeah, you love the internet, and you like the internet, you like how it's anonymous and everything, but like, when you're developing this, you're not keeping how the user would feel or interact with your product in mind. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this right, but I think that would probably be the major downfall, because we are in an age where like, it's not only that computers now have become super easy to use to the point where like, hey, like, humans are like water, we're gonna go like the path of least resistance when it comes to most things. So like, if the internet is hard to use, we're just not going to use it anymore. Like, let's be real. If it's harder to use than just doing shit in real life, we're not going to use it. If the majority of us find it harder to use in real life. So like, if this new internet is harder to use than the old internet, then like, people just are not going to use it and everything. And if it's developed without like, you know, user interaction in mind, then it's going to only be built for like techie people like me and everything, who can somewhat understand it. And we're going to be the only ones who use it. It's not going to be used by people who like don't know shit about, like, you know, a computer. Especially, you know, when they're used to using an iPhone where basically everything's done for them. Like, they don't really have to do any setup or configuration or any troubleshooting, period, and stuff. People don't know how to troubleshoot nowadays. So if anything goes wrong with this beta net, like, at all, like, users aren't going to want to use it because like, they won't know how to fix it. And they probably won't want to wait for like, you know, some developer to go and fix it and shit, you know? But yeah. Anyways.
States or China, for instance, we both know these countries are nuclear equipped. They can end the world at a whim. So for instance, if escalation gets to a point where China decides to hit the United States, they will think twice, because once they make that commitment...
You're talking about mutually assured destruction right now.
The fact that the Americans will also retaliate with, again, their own line of nuclear weapons. Hence the term mutually assured destruction. And now the idea is you want to make sure that without, you know, if you want to censor the internet, having these overlays or systems is going to be a situation where I guess mutually assured destruction exists between the people on the internet. So you can't just remove things or delete stuff. Let's see how this works in practice here.
We're taking the same philosophy and applying it to anti-censorship. So you see, if you try to take down BetaNet, you are going to seriously harm the regular internet in the process. It camouflages itself as regular internet traffic. It's damn near indistinguishable from regular internet traffic. It is carefully designed to be indistinguishable from regular internet traffic. And with the way it's designed, even if they tried to attack BetaNet, they would only be harming genuinely actually used things of the regular internet. And even better, there's no single point of failure with BetaNet. There is no central point to block or prevent. Even if Raven falls, even if I fall, anything like that, BetaNet will still survive because upgrades are voted on. A node's voting power equals its uptime score plus the amount of eCache it has staked. If 67% of that weight says yes, everyone waits 30 days, plenty of time to update, before the changes activate.
So there's a couple things that I have to really talk about here, okay? So in the 4 minutes that, you know, I kind of watched this whole thing, it's not necessarily a super long video. There's more of a push to actually read the implementations yourself. The reality of this is that immediately the concept of voting was something that I really wanted to touch upon a little bit too. So a lot of people also really kind of talked about this too in the comment section. For instance, with the voting system, it sounds like it's going to create problems in the future, risking extreme feuds over changes and creating an environment where clout equals direct influence. The eCache part of the voting power, however, is 100% an issue, as that would likely cause changes to be dictated by a small, higher class user base. Basically, whoever has the most uptime, meaning, I guess technically the most internet nobility, and of course, somebody who also has just more money. You can game the...
I actually didn't think about that because I thought voting would be a good idea, but a way that like the best way that the internet works is that it is driven by people who like, you know, will make the decision regardless if you say don't like the decision or not. Basically they just keep pushing forward. That train does not stop, and that's why the internet has evolved and progressed as much as it does, as much as it has. And voting will probably stop that whole process and stuff for this beta net. At least that's like that's what I'm thinking right now after hearing that voting would potentially be an issue. It'd basically become a popularity contest. I mean, like, look at our president and stuff. He was more popular than the other candidate. So that's how like he ended up president, basically. Like if like we didn't have the electoral college, like our current president would have still won. Whether you like him or do not and stuff. I'm not trying to get too much into politics here. I personally like, you know, I pay attention because like I kind of need to, but I don't really care for it, you know. But like what, you know, like, or say a better example, bit closer at home for me, nepotism in the workplace. I've known like multiple people who are hired just because they know someone, or like who like they have strong pull and stuff in like an industry, like they know the right people, and they get put in high positions that like they don't really deserve. So like in this instance of like the beta net and stuff, say a change is proposed that's really really fucking stupid, but like the person who's promoting it is someone who's well liked by everyone, but like the people who actually know that like, you know, this change is really stupid, like they're like, you know, average, maybe not liked by people and stuff, like they're 100% in the right in saying like, hey, this is a bad idea, we really shouldn't do this. For example, like, hey, what if like the change was to implement like, you know, ID verification on this beta net, and like which is literally what betanet is trying to get away from. Say that was the change that was being proposed, and like now because it's based off of a voting system and everything, say someone popular backs the idea of like having like ID, and everyone else basically like just falls in line because like, you know, this person's popular and well liked and whatever he say can never be wrong. Now we have like, you know, now we have ID verification on like the platform that was meant to be like, you know, anonymous and anti-censorship and whatnot, you know. That's basically what I'm getting at. Like introducing voting into like an organization kind of destroys it faster than if you didn't have voting, because at the very least, like with a more I don't want to say it like this, but like I can't think of another word, but like with the very least with an authoritarian organization, shit gets done like that and stuff. Now whether it's bad or good depends on like, you know, who's in charge. I'm gonna be real, but at the very least, you know, shit's getting done. You can look at China as like a great example of that and stuff, like as authoritarian regime and stuff. Not everything is great, there are some problems, but at the end of the day they've accomplished just about everything that they've wanted to, like they've set out to do. Whereas America, where we have a democratic process and like we vote for things, we always, for years I have seen us like for years I've complained, like ever since I was a kid, that like, hey, why is shit not changing? Why is shit taking so long to happen? Like I thought they were going to work on this project ages ago. What the fuck happened? Like for example, the high-speed rail in California, that shit's still not finished yet. Whereas like you got places like China that has like high-speed rail all over their fucking country, or at least in the areas where it matters. Like Japan actually does have high-speed rail all over its fucking country. and like, well, that is like more of a democratic government and stuff, but like it's a bit more like they've made it very efficient. Okay, they've made the democratic process very efficient. Ours, however, is not in the United States. I don't want an authoritarian government, but like, ayo, voting clearly is not working here. Like, I'm gonna be real. Or at least like we're voting in the wrong people right now. If we want shit done, that is, bureaucracy sucks, is what I'm saying. And introducing a voting system on like this beta net and stuff will probably cause a lot of bureaucracy or like changes that are 100% a bad idea to like, you know, be approved with like very little pushback with a voting system. You know, I'm just gonna let Moodhar continue.
System if it's possibly pay to win, and that's one of the key issues.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Pay to win. Yeah, pay to win isn't great for when you're poor. Leave it at that. Like, you ever play a fucking what's that fucking game? It's pay to win. Like every mobile game ever. Mainly like fucking like gacha games and shit. Except for the good ones like Uma Musume Pretty Derby. I love that game.
People have kind
Anyways.
of had with this, you know, so far. Now, there are also commenters who say for those that are not developers, this isn't what it makes itself out to be. There's other comments that talk about that, just refer to those. As someone that was initially excited about the idea of this, they do not make it easy for developers to contribute either way. Their terminology is usually wrong or ambiguous, ways for developers to contribute is unclear, and all in all, it shows the project is a pipe dream. So one guy pretty much says it the way that I've been kind of thinking. Concern one, there's a huge overlap with existing technology. Lots of these core features are already handled by trusted, decentralized overlay networks like I2P, like Tor, NIM, and IPFS. And it's so vague in the documentation that it doesn't tell us why this is a worthy alternative. Concern 2, lack of any prototypes or public code. Concern 3, the team has an iffy track record and...
Okay, yeah, that's actually what I was still wondering about as well. Is like, how is this actually going to work on its own? And like, since it relies on already existing, like, you know, technology, it's like, is this really anything new exactly? Like, why couldn't I just use Tor? Or like, I could understand if the idea was to make it easier than using like Tor, because like, you know, someone who doesn't have any computer literacy period isn't going to use Tor. Okay, they're not going to use like like fucking I2P or anything like that. So if they're not really going to know what any of these things are. Okay, like, I actually haven't heard of NYM myself, and I'm pretty tech literate actually. So like, if the idea isn't like, you know, for like, again, that goes back to my point of like, they don't need users right now. So like, I'm afraid they'd be developing without users in mind, sort of thing. And if they don't develop with users in mind, like, say this gains traction with developers, if they don't develop with users in mind, users aren't going to use this product and everything. It's to making it pretty much pointless to everyone except for like really techie people. And then it's not going to seem like really useful for techie people because like there isn't like a massive user base, you know? Like, you have to have ADHD brain to like really focus in on like that one singular platform and shit. Because like, even people who are like constantly on Twitter all day every day like move over between Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and everything. They don't just use one platform. So a developer surely isn't going to use like, you know, one platform, especially like if it's the least popular of all the platforms, you know? Like, why use like, you know, BetaNet if I can just use like, you know, like fucking Google at this point, since there's like nobody fucking here.
Of course, AI, and obviously the crypto side of things. Obviously, with cryptocurrency, there is an issue that maybe, just maybe, people can pay to win or game this platform. Now, the thing is, ultimately, what I have kind of a little bit of a concern about, something that makes me kind of wonder, is when they say the words fully decentralized. Obviously, this is not meant to be a replacement to the internet. It's actually something that apparently runs on top of the internet that we know of. Now, obviously, look, BetaNet is something that sounds kind of cool, and obviously, I'm sure for a lot of people, they're willing to look at almost anything, and they're trying to say, maybe, just maybe we need some. A lot of this comes, the interest for this comes from, again, people wanting to fight against the censorship that we are currently going through on the internet. And this is where I kind of want to take things beyond just BetaNet. Look, the internet does suck, but have you ever kind of considered and sat down and wondered why the internet sucks so hard? Well, I'll answer that question really quickly. Think about all the websites that you go to. I would wager that most of the internet is probably the same 5 or 6 websites at this point, right? If you want to go browse videos on the internet, you probably go to youtube.com and maybe nothing else. That's not to say there aren't other websites out there. There's sites like Rumble, there's sites like Odyssey, there's plenty of video sharing websites, but none of them have the same level of mainstream power as something like YouTube does. You might be wondering, okay, maybe I want to, do microblogging. So you go to Twitter, but there's also Blue Sky. There's other websites. Maybe you want to go to a forum board, but, the only forum or discussion boards that you go to are probably Reddit, because it's a site that makes it super easy to access hundreds of thousands, if not millions of communities at any given moment. So basically the entire internet, as far as I'm looking at right now, most people centralize towards the same 6, 7 big websites in the world. Now, because the internet basically is centralized, in my opinion, into 6 or 7 different websites, what's interesting to note is, of course, obviously BetaNet sounds kind of cool, and I would be completely 100% supportive of, having some level of mutually assured destruction, but generally speaking, when it comes to internet censorship, it's really these websites that decide internet censorship for the rest of the world. So I don't know if you remember, years ago, Alex Jones was simultaneously taken off YouTube, Facebook, and iTunes. And that might, not be so mind-blowing nowadays, but obviously when it happened, it showed that a lot of these big corporations kind of just communicated. If they were removed off of one platform, they'd be removed off another one pretty much in unison, depending on how egregious the violations of that.
I'd say the best way for the internet to get better, to make it suck less, is that we need more competition on the internet. We need a competitor for YouTube. We need a competitor for Twitch, which is right now Kick. Kick is a competitor to Twitch, and I like it a lot more than Twitch, just from a starting user's perspective. I haven't mentioned this really all stream at all, but I keep seeing the viewership number for Kick go up from 1 to 2 periodically, while Twitch it's just stayed at 1 the entire time. So at least somebody out there, at least from my perspective, it could be a bot and stuff honestly, but at least from my perspective, someone out there is noticing me and stuff. I'm being pushed in the algorithm ever so slightly more so on Kick than I am on Twitch. So for that, I already like it. And then Kick, it's simple. Twitch has so much shit going on, it looks very complicated for me. But Kick is very simple right now. There isn't a whole lot of shit going on. I can add in emotes and stuff very easily. I haven't done so yet, but I can do it. I like it. I like it a lot. But there needs to be more competitors out there in the technology space in order for the internet to get better. We need more things we need a brand new Reddit. We need a brand new YouTube and everything. Something to replace YouTube, or a alternative. We need alternative to Twitch. We need eventually when Twitch dies and stuff, which it will, we'll need a competitor Kick. We need a competitor to the App Store, the Google Play Store, all that shit. Because if we don't have a competitor, then there's no reason for any of these companies to improve their service and work for the people. Instead, they will work for the richest of the rich and do their bidding and stuff like they are doing now. But yeah.
Person is. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to the rule.
Hell, I actually haven't streamed.
Anything of that nature is probably.
Hell, I actually haven't streamed in months, and somehow I have 7 fucking followers. Like 2 people followed me the other day. I went from 5 to 7 on like Kick. I've only done like 4 streams since I've been back. Whereas like Twitch, I haven't gotten shit. So like Kick is already better. Anyways.
Far more resilient to having, you know, more extremist opinions, I guess you could say. Also, there's other websites now like Rumble that allow you to basically spout whatever you want to say without the intense TOS that YouTube, Facebook, and a lot of these sites provide. But because the internet is so centralized, you know, there's really no incentive from, at least how I can see, that some of these big companies like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter will implement such a technology into their current infrastructure anyways. That is an issue. You know, when it comes to these smaller websites, things are a little bit different in that regard. But when it comes to the big main websites that we go to, obviously they're fine with censoring stuff. They're fine with doing it while communicating with each other as it needs to happen. They don't necessarily need this nuclear weapon on the internet that prevents each other from absolutely, you know, modifying things on the internet. They very much work together when it comes to censorship. And one can argue that alone needs to change. And maybe the answer to that is having a much more federated internet where people are running websites that aren't just these main websites that we
like I said, competition. We need more competition.
Back in the day, in the early, I would say like the 90s or the 2000s, that Web 1.0 period, there were plenty of different websites, okay? For instance, even in the gaming space, let's say that you were interested with something like System Shock. You could go to a website like systemshock.org, which is an independent, nonprofit fan site. A lot of these sites function off of basically users donating a few bucks every month so they can host the servers that they can run this content off of. And of course, this would be places where, again, you would go to, you know, their forum boards, and you would actually download mods for video.
We need more competitors, like, which is why I like Spotify for so long, because it was a competitor to like Apple Music, Google Play Music, and all that other shit.
And this is just me looking at the scope of video games, right?
But now we need a competitor for like Spotify.
You can see websites that somebody has made focusing on entirely cool things, hobbies, passions that will probably take your breath away if you let it, okay? You can look at the Linux System Administrator Guide. You can surprise me with Code of the Ancients. This is the kind of stuff that will probably take hours out of your night if you just choose to browse that part of the internet that's long been forgotten. I mean, it's also something that's been talked about on communities like NoSurf. The internet is like 5 websites now. The sense of exploration is gone. Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Google.
Yeah, I literally just named those ones myself too.
If anyone has ever wondered why the web feels so dull, it's because content is just served to you, and
like 2 of them are owned by one company, Meta.
There really isn't. You know, back in the day,
so
using
like
something like Google.com or any search engine meant that you were pilfering through tons of different websites, and they all weren't massive websites to begin with. Now, what BetaNet is doing is they want to create a censorship-free internet, right? They want to make it so that, I guess, the internet is not going to be censored. Websites cannot easily be taken down. But the thing is, the internet is one of those things that is technically, I would say, decentralized, but for most people, it will always be centralized in theory. So let's kind of talk about how the internet works. The internet is, I want you to look at it like...
So like I'm curious to see like if he'll use like the US highway system example I used, interconnected highways and stuff, everything working together, or like or just straight up say it's like, hey, it's a bunch of machines like connected together and stuff, passing on information to each other, and as long as like, you know, that connection's up, there's always going to be like, the internet's always going to exist as long as like, you know, somebody is like has a computer running or whatever, or like 2 or more people have computers that are communicating with each other. The internet, so to speak, is always going to exist or something like that. I'm going to let him continue talking.
3 main pillars. One of those pillars is the hardware, right? So obviously, everyone who's connected to each other, you and me, we are connected via actual hardware. There's a fiber line that comes to my house. It connects to a data center. That data center connects to other data centers, and that data center will usually be connected to a tier 1 network that connects the internet, basically the internet backbone. So basically there are tier 1 networks, the people that run the backbones, the cables underneath the sea, all the agreements for us sharing our data. Big companies like AT&T, the internet service providers, make deals with these companies to basically sell us internet access. The internet allows us to, basically you connect to your internet service provider And the internet service providers, I want you to look at them as big routers in the world that are basically communicating between each other. So if you're on something like Verizon and I'm
Okay,
on
he's
something
just
like
straight up
Rogers
explaining
in
exactly what it
Canada,
is.
I
No
connect to my
metaphors or
ISP,
anything like
you
that.
connect to your ISP, we're able to connect because our ISPs talk to each other. That's kind of how the internet works, I guess, maybe from a just like hardware perspective. At a software level, the internet is just a set of technologies that allow computers to communicate with each other. So inside your own house, imagine if you had multiple computers. That computer behind me and this computer that I'm sitting at are connected through a router. And in that router, both of these systems are assigned their own internal IP address. So let's say on this computer, I download Apache's web server and host an actual web page. I can host a forum. I can even host my own version of YouTube and upload all of my videos so I can watch.
I do this in my house and stuff. Like I host like a server and I am able to connect to it and just transfer files to and from. Like I have a Samba server running. So then I can basically just transfer like files over to like, you know, my media server and whatnot. So like I buy a new song, I can add that to like my Navidrome server and then be able to play music. And then from like, you know, my Navidrome server, I can connect to it either by going to the direct address or the DNS that I have set up, or I can connect to it via an app by having like, you know, the port and IP address. That's how I connect to my music media server and everything.
Watch them in my house in a self-hosted
With my
fashion.
phone.
And I could even set up an email server in my house and email every single different computer all across. So that's, again, the internet on a very small internal scale. You know, a lot of places that you go to will have their own intranets where they have their own websites. Places like hotels where they have their own portals that you can access and their own internal communications at times. So that's kind of that second pillar. The third pillar is the agreements between governments and, you know, these big ISPs and the world itself. That is where things are getting attacked. So laws that are being passed in the United States or the United Kingdom allow a lot of these governments to go to these internal or internet service providers and tell them, I want you to remove this website from the internet. Now look, the internet kind of resembles something like out of a cyberpunk future. You ever played a video game where there's like an in-game internet and there's like 5 or 6 different websites and usually everything else is blocked
Oh damn,
off?
that's crazy.
That's where I think the internet is slowly but surely headed to. Now, of course,
Oh, that's
go back
kinda
to the
a scary
ISP,
thought.
right? If they want to get a website,
Can't do
the
shit.
government can
Not
contact the
anymore.
ISP and they can say, hey, you know, this server that exists on the internet, please cut all connections to it, right? You can host a server right now from your home. You can host anything. But the thing is, if all the ISPs agree not to have their users connect to you, then effectively you're completely like taken off the internet. And that's where things like Tor
That would
can come
suck.
in, where obviously, or VPNs, where because of these laws that affect different ISPs differently all over the world, using VPNs or Tor or any of these networks, you can connect to all these sites that you may not be allowed to depending on the legality in your area. And it's crazy to think that's where we're headed to. So the thing about where we're at with the internet now, obviously, if you look at censorship, it's pretty much been a thing in the world. So for instance, if you go to countries like South Korea, can you access adult websites? From my understanding, probably not. Adult websites are generally blocked in South Korea. So
No, I didn't
how
know
do
that,
people get
actually.
there? They go to VPN services. They tunnel themselves
With what
into
comes
the
out of
United States
South
or
Korea,
other
I
countries
was
where
not actually
porn
expecting
generally isn't banned.
that
And
like
those South Koreans cannot
corn is
access adult
not
websites
accessible
because generally
or
they
like
don't
harder
look
to
like they're coming
access.
from South Korea.
But then again,
And
it's
there's
like
really not
the US,
much
the country
there are
of
things
freedom,
the ISP can do
you would
there,
expect
but
to be able to like
generally
just
speaking,
access
enforcement is
porn
pretty lax. And it
pretty
does depend
easily.
on which country
No,
you're
you
in.
can't,
Every
depending on
country
the
has their
state that
own
you're
set of
in.
laws. You know, there are countries like China where the people in China are kind of locked into their own internal internet. They are protected by a great firewall that severely inhibits the average Chinese individual from communicating with the rest of the world. That's what internet censorship looks like on a macro scale. And of course, there's places like Iran where communication, encrypted communication, is often so threatened that the Iranian people ask everyone around the world to set up relays so that they can actually communicate in, you know, relative privacy, so that they're
Actually, fun fact, Nepal shut off the internet for their country. And they got overthrown because shut up the internet. Like that was like the straw that broke the camel's back from what I've heard, and that is absolutely amazing. All right, don't take away the internet, guys, and stuff. You saw what happened to Nepal. All right, don't take away the internet.
Governments won't crack down on them. Internet censorship
At that point, it's like,
now,
okay,
because of certain
all right.
laws, a lot of platforms have to turn off their actual communications to the United Kingdom. So, for instance, the guys over on Linux on gaming on Linux. Now, this is not an adult website, but according to companies or platforms like this, they have to say, well, the website is hosted in the U.S., I am based in the U.K., and so it firmly affects us. Plus, we have
Damn, that sucks.
too. It's an incredibly wide-reaching law that affects any website with user-generated content, including just plain text like this. There's very clear forms.
He would have to, like, you know,
and
give
puts
away
you
the
at great
website to
personal
someone
risk
who lives in the
being directly
US and
run to the
stuff,
forum.
so then it can
person is
continue to
worried
run into
because of
UK.
how the law could impact them as a UK
I don't know.
national. So obviously there are other platforms like The Green Living, where again, according to the
There's not
UK
doubt in my
government,
mind that the UK government would send the guy to jail
that forum has to actually be
if there's
closed down.
anything on the
Because, of
platform that
course,
goes against,
certain,
like, you know,
platforms can't operate, especially with
them,
the
or if they don't
financial
implement the age
requirements
verification.
that these unfortunate laws impose. Now, when I go back to BetaNet, for instance, right? BetaNet is a concept that sounds really, really cool to me. But the thing is, as somebody that's made tons of videos on deep web browsing, I'll tell you right now that what you see with BetaNet is something that you can kind of see with other platforms. So for instance, there's something that is known as the Yggdrasil network, which you can use to, again, communicate in a mesh network. So for people that, want to be really off the grid but communicate with their local communities, they can set up or be part of the Yggdrasil network and basically communicate in this self-hosted,
Actually, I
but
haven't heard of
still
this.
scalable platform. It's like a different version of the internet that you can connect into and operate
that's pretty
on
cool.
websites that are within that network.
I might look
There's
into
also things
Yggdrasil,
like Reticulum, which is a
more.
cryptography-based networking stack for building local
Reticulum.
and wide area networks. So it's not just one network in this case, it's a tool for building thousands of networks. Networks without kill switches, surveillance, censorship, control.
that sounds
networks
actually
that can
pretty
freely
cool.
interoperate, associate,
I've
and
never heard of
dissociate
this.
with each other. So again, people are designing internet-like protocols, just different networks that we connect to just to talk to each other. And in some cases, depending on the network, some of these, depending on how they're set up, may even eschew the entire necessity of an ISP, as long as you're only willing to interoperate with the people in these communities.
Oh, that'd actually
There's
be pretty
also things
cool.
like IPFS, which again, this is technology that is already implemented by large figures like Lockheed Martin, for instance, where again, they want to
the guys who own
decentralize
everything.
how we deliver content and how we operate the internet on a global scale. For instance, even with them, when Turkey decided to block Wikipedia, they went back to the IPFS network and actually decided to run Wikipedia here so that people could still access, even though
that's
the
cool.
government
Nice.
decided to ban this actual tool from their people. And obviously, I'm sure you guys all know Tor, the deep web, the dark web, the dank web. The place where people can access
Place where
without
crime
any form of
happens.
censorship or government
Kind of.
surveillance. Not always in practice, but it serves
Not
as
really.
another
Crime
example of a
happens
network
probably
that
more
we're
on the open
using to
internet.
bypass a lot of the control these governments do. And I think that's really all people have. A few days ago I talked about using PGP and I talked about taking back a little bit of control. And I think BetaNet's kind of a cool idea, just as soon as you hear it. But obviously, as somebody that has seen multiple different practicing networks on the internet, there are ways that you can kind of talk to people in a censorship-free zone. But again, like I said, the internet's basically like 7 websites at this point, and it really allows a lot of these platforms to overexert their control.
7
it used to be
very
that going to
Gooner
forums
and
downloading things,
Gooner charged
it
websites.
was kind of a fun exploration thing on the
X
internet
is just
too. Now,
just the
a lot
hub
of that
now,
stuff is
honestly.
centralized to Discord.
So is Instagram.
So again, it also raises
really
another
weird.
issue, right? Imagine if something
But
happens
that
to
probably
Discord
says
or
more
those
about,
servers
like,
are
you
gone.
know,
That's a lot of
me and the
human
content
history
that I
and a lot of
consume,
shit that we've
rather
done
than
suddenly
the
proven
site
overnight.
itself, because
Given
it
the
pushes
fact
you
that there's plenty of places we could watch videos on back in the day,
what you
even
take
if they
interest
weren't
in.
4K high quality. Now it's mostly just YouTube or Facebook or really any other insert large tech company. Yes, I think if you want to get the internet back, it's not so much that the censorship is kind of there. It's a matter of people looking at other technologies that exist right now, like Tor, like Yggdrasil, like I2P, even though that's really not all that popular, even though a lot of these networks really aren't all that popular. You know, even if you go to Tor, you can access platforms like Dread, for instance, and be part of communities that have bypassed that problem of censorship. You know, the thing is, you can never get rid of the ISP when it comes to the internet.
Never
What
really
you
heard
can
about
do
that
is use
Dread
a lot
before.
of these sub-networks like Tor, for instance, and use them in order to bypass the censorship we face. The other thing is, honestly, like, if you're somebody that has the chops to want to learn how to do this, consider self-hosting your forums. Consider self-hosting a community. You know, even if, because of all this, we as a society have to fucking go back to the dark ages, and I don't even consider it the dark ages, just accessing parts of the internet, or just like exploring
getting
the internet and
content,
looking up micro communities
getting
again,
content,
instead of
you know,
just
not
going
having to
Reddit,
pay for like
just
7
going to
different
Twitter, just
subscriptions to
going Google,
completely watch
just going to,
all
like, the
seasons of
same
Doctor
7
Who
websites. Maybe that's kind of what
or
we need.
Pokemon.
Okay, maybe that's where the internet needs to be going. But none of these technologies answer what are the biggest questions and problems right now, which are all the crazy laws that are being passed. I'm telling you right now, the internet is headed towards mass segregation. We're going to have a point where because of all of these laws, a lot of websites.
Yeah, if I can't
are gonna have
access
to
my
shut down
my
because they
anime
can't
due to
cater
like
every
various
single
laws
law
and
that
stuff, I'm
is
going to be
being
mad as
passed up
fuck.
in every big country in the world. And with all this ID verification nonsense, I don't even think people should do that. I think if anything, the internet is probably headed to a place where there's going to be this mass surveillance controlled dog shit internet. And there's going to be an entire internet where, you know, much like Tor, people are going to connect into and bypass all of this bullshit to begin with. But yeah, BetaNet's interesting. I don't consider it the end-all be-all. There's a lot of stuff that is genuinely confusing to me and plenty of other people that have seen this.
Okay, I'm
But
glad
I
it's
think
not
Raven's heart
like.
is in the right place.
I'm
We've got
glad it was
censorship-free
confusing to him
internet. We
too.
had
It's like,
censorship-free
it
internet.
doesn't make sense.
Now
And
it's
like,
time
it
for
doesn't
you
make
guys
sense to
to
me
start
because I don't have
writing
enough
and
knowledge, but
fucking
like, it
using
really doesn't make
If
sense
you really
because
can.
it just doesn't make
If you don't,
sense.
then dig out your ID, put it to every website, and hope to God nothing comes out of a breach down the road. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.
Yeah, that was a good Mudahar video. I actually like that. Wait, what? That started playing. It had 3 seconds. Nope, stop it. Stop it. Nope. Okay. So basically that was a very enjoyable video, and that actually cleared up a lot of things. Subscribe to Mudahar. Let me go back.
Hello, guys and
Some Ordinary Gamers. I've been watching him for maybe about like 2-3-ish years now, like ever since I moved into my apartment. And I love the way he explains tech. It's very simple and everything. It actually like got me to get back into like learning about, you know, cybersecurity and shit, because at one point I was like, I don't know if I'll ever make it and stuff, to like, you know, my dreams of being an like cybersecurity professional or like IT guy and shit, you know, like I was at a loss in my life. And then I saw Mudahar's videos. It's like, oh, it's just some dude in like his room just making fucking videos and talking about technology and stuff. This is like, I don't know, I very much related to it a lot and stuff. 'Cause like, I'm just some dude and I like to talk about technology. Maybe I could do this too. So yeah, yeah, I greatly appreciate Mudahar. Like, he might not have a degree, but he's smarter than me, and he inspired me to continue like forward. And like, I ended up getting my security plus because like watching his videos just got me really into cybersecurity, and like I ended up getting my security plus, got like, you know, a full-time job as an IT support technician, not in cybersecurity, but like I'm still studying cybersecurity, still greatly interested in it. I want to continue further and further and learning more and more. And like this guy, he helps me keep up with like the tech space and everything, because there's so much information out there. But yeah, that's really I didn't get to the Borderlands 4 thing, but like at this point I'm really tired. I think I'm going to end stream now. And I believe that will be it. So, yeah. I do thank you all for watching today's live stream. Hope you guys enjoyed me talking. Hopefully I talked enough to where I am being transformative with the content. Because I guess I am looking at all these videos from a perspective of someone who is more knowledgeable than most when it comes to like technical concepts, but not to the point where I'm an expert. So like I'm in like that weird middle ground area. I'm not an expert, but I'm also not um like a moron, you know? Not to say that anyone who isn't tech literate is like a moron and everything, but you kind of are. Start reading more, guys. Be better than me. But like yeah. I'm tired. I don't know what else I want to say right now. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a good evening, and I'll see you all in the next one. Jane. Bye bye.